because anybody can get stuck in the moment, right?
Yes.
And as you're raising children, as you're raising kids, again, it's easy to be stuck in the mundane and the misery of the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's not always easy, but all we're saying is this. We tried to always, I think we did pretty good at this. I think we parented with always a future in mind, realizing that, this is not where we're going to get stuck at. They will turn 5 one day.
Thanks for joining the Home Matters podcast with Eric and Gena Boggs, where they lead authentic, raw discussions about marriage, family life, kids, intimacy, and sex from a biblical perspective. Here's your host, Eric and Gena Boggs.
Welcome to Home Matters. We're glad you're joining us today.
Thank you for tuning in.
I did the start off. I kind of kicked it off, and that's not the norm.
Yeah, I usually
do
say
that,
something first.
But we're glad you're here.
I usually talk
today.
First and last and all in the middle.
We, whether you're at work, rest, or play, morning, noon, or night, right?
That didn't rhyme.
It wasn't supposed to rhyme.
Well, welcome. Anyway, we are glad you tuned in. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time. And
Come here.
Just believe.
You got something going on here.
What are you doing?
You got a little lipstick on you.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, if you don't have the video feed, you might want to go watch him rub my tooth off right at the beginning of the podcast.
Hey, we know always we do these Home Matters podcasts because your home matters, right? And,
that's right. All
we
the
talk
time,
about
every
some
day.
ways that we honor God, and one of the things that the thing that we finished with last week was honor God in our parenting. Yeah,
and kind of as we close that out, Eric and I were just talking about maybe the importance of just doing a little more with parenting.
Yeah, because
we're not like right in the heat of that anymore.
Right.
Thank God. Our kids are grown. We get to grandparent now. So that's
right.
like parenting just parent well, and you'll get to this point one day, and it's like
we'll get to parent at the expense of our children.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, it's their children that we get to come alongside and help and love them.
But I started saying that to say that it's not an easy job.
No, it's not.
No, and I know, first of all, from talking to parents that we need a lot of help when we're parenting, right? I know we did.
We used a quote last time, I know, but parenting isn't for cowards.
Did we? Dr.
James Dobson,
said that a long time ago.
And maybe you got to watch some of the stuff online.
You just spit on me.
Some of the stuff online at beachsprings.org. You can go and watch last week, I think, Wednesday night. You can probably pick that up and watch it.
Yeah, we kind of talked there, honoring God in our parenting. But as Eric and I closed out that last podcast, we were just talking about parenting and maybe coming back this week and sharing a few things. And this is not from a book or the web this is from our house.
It's from real life.
Okay,
right?
So just things that we share stuff like this a lot. This is just who we are. We only have one home and family and life and marriage and, parenting experience to share out of. And so these are just some things that I think worked well for us.
Yeah, and you cannot deny the power of experience.
So true.
You can read something in a book, or you can
listen, you can go to school and get a degree I know I have a degree in education and taught in the public school system for a long time, but there's nothing that
replaces experience
and teaches you right as well as getting in the classroom. Okay.
Yeah. And out of that experience, you can relate usually to people who've had like experiences. So again, we further along, but we've had a like experience in parenting. And what we thought today is we'll just go back and maybe just add some stuff to what we've already talked about.
That's right.
Loving and nurturing and disciplining and all that stuff that
the great responsibility that we have, right?
Yeah.
What a responsibility as parents. God has gifted us, and they are a gift, right? God has gifted us, Psalm 127, with these kids. Yeah. And trusted us with them, given us responsibility.
Children are a blessing from the Lord. And we said that last time, and again, it is a gift to our life.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it can be one of the most challenging things you'll ever do in life.
Absolutely.
Pretty
much
I
daily basis.
said all the time, and I'm repeating myself, but again, you know, we look at our society today, and a society that is in trouble. But it's not a child problem. It's not a children problem. It's not a youth problem. It's a parenting problem.
Yeah.
And I'll stay with that until the day I die, unless something changes. Mm-hmm. We have to have parents who's standing there.
That's right. Who do the hard work of parenting. So
yeah, these things that we learn.
We just put down 5 or 6 things, and listen, we were not the perfect parents.
No.
Made tons of mistakes. But I do feel like by the grace of God, He enabled us, He helped us, He led us in making some decisions that we can look back now and say, yeah, that worked. That was a good thing. That helped
raised
our children.
Healthy kids, I think, for the biggest part. You know, they may have some things that are unknown at this point, but they are still discovering. But again, in that, we just said, all right, what things helped us? What made it work? So here's some things that helped us in parenting.
We always try to be a team.
Yeah.
Yes, because here's what you know if you have kids, and you're going to find out real quick if you don't, or if they're little, right? They'll pit you against one another if they can. Yeah, and again, that whole leave and cleave thing that we find in marriage, you know, has to work throughout our life. Father and mother and cleaving to your spouse. Yeah. How does that work with parenting? I think the fact that they know that you are together, that your kids know that you are cleaving together, that you are one, that can go a long way. Here's the thing that complicates it sometimes: blended families. Right. It's tough. Again, it makes it a little more challenging, a little more complicated. I would say this. I think that the parents of children, if you've gone through a time that you are not with the father or the mother of your children that you're raising, the ideal is still that as the parents, as father and mother, that you still are seen working together to raise those kids. Don't pit, try to pit your children against their dad or pit your children. Yeah, you still have to work as a team in raising those kids. Even with all the differences that the two of you may have and the trouble that you may have getting along, I mean, for the health of those children, as much as you can come together. And then also, you know, in that blended family, you know, even if it's a stepchild or, you know, that scenario, still the importance of you together, working together. As a team, and the children seeing that, that you're on the same team, that you're and ultimately the motive is to raise them in a way that you know that you raise them loving and nurturing, admonishing them in the ways of the Lord. That, as you know, most of us that are listening, most of you that are listening are probably believers, you're followers of Jesus. But again, that's something that with that. If the children, that your children understand, they're together, but it's for our good. That's right. They're working for us, or they're doing what they do for us. So. Yeah, and what an example we can be for them as they grow up and begin to parent themselves. Right. All right, so stand together, right? What about this one? Firm discipline. I mean, you were a meanie. Not really. No, not really. We were firm. Just aggravating. You can laugh right there. And I'm trying to settle myself a little bit. I probably was tough at times. I probably was what a lot of people would say. I think we were told we were tough at times. Too hard on our kids. Family, right? Maybe I was. Maybe where I messed up was I treated my children like they were me growing up. And that was a problem. Because you thought they were going to be as maybe... whatever. Let's leave that alone. But I'm just saying that as a child, I probably needed a lot more discipline. You think? I got plenty. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I got plenty. But again, out of that, I sometimes as a parent, I caught myself treating my children like they were me when I was young. And they were not me when I was young. Thank God. They picked up more of their mother than I thought, you know. But again, not that they didn't have a lot of Eric there. I mean, there were times you saw that, but I'm just saying. I think too, and we didn't pull a lot of scripture here, okay, but I think without a doubt, you can back up biblically the importance of firm discipline. We're not talking about abuse, okay, but we are talking about sometimes there's some pain and correction involved in our life.
Well, we read it last week, Hebrews 12. It says nobody in the moment likes it.
Don't like it, right?
You know,
the child doesn't like
good.
it, but man, I didn't like having to do that either. And that you talk about the work, the job of parenting.
Yeah.
Man, discipline,
That's tough.
that is work. That's work. And sometimes you don't know exactly what to do or how to handle.
Consistency.
Exactly. That's
being
the word.
Firm, being strong. Again, if it's correction, it should be to bring them in line, right?
That's right.
To correct their path or the mindset or whatever. But again, it should be firm. It should be something that you don't waver on, that should cause them some discomfort.
Yeah.
So again, the next one, we parented, I think in parenting, we always tried to live with a future in mind and always tried to make sure that our children knew that we parented with their future in mind.
Yeah, just
try to lead
preparing them for the future.
Yeah.
As parents, we are preparing the next generation. We're preparing them for adulthood. We're preparing them to be able to take on responsibility. And that's a hard thing.
I think that helped us, though, in the sense as we raised our children, we always had a future in mind. And again, because anybody can get stuck in the moment, right?
Yes.
And as you're raising children, as you're raising kids, again, it's easy to be stuck in the mundane and the misery of the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's not always easy, but all we're saying is this. We tried to always, I think we did pretty good at this. I think we parented with always a future in mind, realizing that, this is not where we're going to get stuck at. They will turn 5 one day.
Yeah.
They won't always be 3.
That's right.
They will turn 17. They won't always be.
They will get married and move out one day.
Yeah, that's right. And we're experiencing that now, but all we're saying is the reality is, and you have to remind them of that.
That's right. Vision beyond the moment, beyond today, and knowing, even in their failures as parents and as, leading them, we have to remind them that's part of life sometimes. We're not going to win at everything, but we get up, we keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Always the future in mind.
Yeah, and remind them, that there's a future and a hope, right? We're like God, Jeremiah 29:11.
But
there's a future and a hope.
You can try it again.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not over.
Reality.
That's right. Everything's not wrapped up in that. What about this?
We don't have a lot of time.
Loved hard. Man, poured on expressions of love, affection. We were very affectionate in our home. Still are. I know our son-in-laws, our daughter-in-law, they've commented before about, even now when everybody's getting ready to leave, it's I love you, I love you, I love you.
Sure.
Did I tell you I love you yet? We're hugging. And I know some of you are listening like, well, that's just not our personality.
Well, I think the thing is there's expression. And again, your love language may be a different love language, so to speak, than mine. I'm more touchy-feely. I'm physical touch is my love language. And, I'm going to hug and I'm going to kiss. And all my kids, even, they know. And I've been very affectionate with them as they've grown up. As children, they were always hugged. We were always expressive.
Yeah.
We were affectionate toward them. We nurtured them in love. We bathed them in love. I've always said this, back up to the discipline part. If your kids know that you're loved, if they know that they're loved, if you love them well, then it's hard to be too strong discipline-wise. Now, again, I'm not talking about abuse, but I'm saying that if they know they're loved well,
right,
then it's not a major deal for them when it comes to being corrected hard.
Right. And
or strong.
Corrected. Yeah. And again, we grow up in different homes, and maybe your home was not affectionate, and it may be hard to kind of bring that into your family life now. But I would say even in that, man, your children need the security that comes from knowing they are loved from you as their parent, that you accept them. Yeah. Look, that back up, that you are looking at their future and not their mess up today. We're not holding that over their head, but that we still, in spite of the fact that they have just been a little turd today. I mean, they have just been.
What did you just say?
I won't say it again. I mean, they
not used to. That's my language, not yours.
No, I mean, what you want me to call them? I mean, sometimes kids can just,
That can be.
What? You give me a word. They're just a lot some days, but
I mean,
even at the close of the day, there's time, to hug on them, love on them, and say, hey, we didn't have the best day today, but I love you, and I know you can do better tomorrow. Just always pouring on
like our little grandson told his mother one day, he said, Mama, sometimes little boys just have days like that.
Yeah, she was doing just exactly what I'm talking about.
5 years old or 4 years old.
Yeah, it was like 4 at the time. And he'd had a really bad day, and she was trying to talk him through that at bedtime. And that was his comment. Hey, kids just have a bad day.
Some days are just tough days.
Yeah, and that's true, right?
Got to hurry along.
Okay. You want to hit this one?
Yeah.
All right. We tried to, I think, differentiate between our children, their gifts, their talents, what they did well. And we tried to nurture them in their lane,
individually,
so to speak. Yeah,
how they were uniquely made. Again, we didn't try to press each one in the same mold.
Right.
I think that's huge for us as parents to realize that our children, listen, you discipline them differently.
Absolutely.
They respond differently to disciplines.
Yes, all of ours are so different.
And again, that's something that I think can help any of us. Again, if we're going to love and nurture and admonish our children, we don't want to exasperate them.
Right.
As it says in Ephesians, we don't want to provoke them. But again, at the same time, the way that I think that helped us as parents is to realize, all right, this one reacts this way. This is this personality, this disposition. Right. And we try to handle that, each one differently. We don't differentiate in the consistency of our love or consistency of our discipline. But the fact is we had to handle each one differently. I think that, again, Psalms 139, we are wonderfully, uniquely, we are created, every one of us, and they're all different. So again, their personalities develop differently. Birth orders sometimes can affect that. But again, they all are.
Yeah, there's a lot out there on that. But I think it's just important that we don't try to make our kids into what we want them to be, but take time to stop and say, hey, what has God gifted them to do? Yeah. And, it may be outside the realm of what was even our gifting. And that's hard sometimes because we want them to be like mom or dad or, but realizing, what has God done in their life and where do we need to press into that and help them find their destiny, their purpose, everything that God created them to be.
Sorry.
Coughing on me?
Yeah. Then this last point, and we're going to finish. This last piece, I think is so important, is that as parents, we parented trying to model Jesus. And you say...
And that should be a given, right?
Yes.
But I think it has to be said.
Yeah, I think it's easy for us to do the mechanics.
True.
Read the Bible story or pray bedtime prayers. But outside of that, there's that modeling of Jesus. And you mean you look like Jesus when you're giving them a spanking? Well, Jesus gave a spanking one day, and I'm just saying that, that there's place and time for that. He probably was not smiling and giggling when he was doing that. But the reality is we do even that. We model out of the model of his love for us and I think sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, I think the most beautiful model is just in the day-to-day of life.
Sure.
I mean, that we are who we say we are as a believer.
Yeah.
I'm not a Sunday morning Christian. I'm not a...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We can do the mechanics.
Yeah,
and still miss the daily life that we love.
The life of love.
That we're
service,
full of grace, that we serve.
Yeah, all the things that Jesus is, that we just try. And we said tried, okay? I'm not saying we got it right all the time. Lord knows we didn't. Yeah. But I'm telling you, I think I can say definitely that we had a heart
That
towards
was our
that.
heart. Yeah.
And I believe God honors that heart. And man, if you get that heart and say, God, we want to lead the way, man, he makes up for all the lack, doesn't he?
Yep, he does.
So thankful.
Hey, parenting, again, it's not easy. And we just encourage you parents out there, especially if you're in the fire or if you're already a grandparent, your children is their parenting, man, encourage them. It is challenging, but it's one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. And as you see your children grow and you see the fruit of your labor.
That's right. Man, thank you for being with us. We can't wait to see you next time.
Always. Home matters, right?